The Chicago Bulls have been playing some really good basketball over the last few weeks, and there are some fans out there that really just like, what's the point? What's to it? And why? But head coach Billy Donovan did an interview yesterday, and he let guys and let people know and explain why the Chicago Bulls, with this young iteration of this team, why it's important for them to push for the playoffs in their development. Y'all know we're going to talk about it and break it down right after this.
Cognac, gang.
Shy Bulls podcast with the Cognac Boys. I'm Cognac Boy Bobby, and I'm holding it down on another daily episode. If you tuned in with me today, make sure you hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. Y'all support, man, has been tremendous. We really appreciate it. And shout out to the members. The shirt's on the way. But hey, let's talk about the Billy Donovan and explaining why it's important for this young Chicago Bulls team to be trying to make a push for the playoffs. So on this interview with 670 The Score, he went on to say this: there's something really powerful in players that are younger at some point in their career. They got to impact winning. Even though where we're at right now as a team, we're in a play-in, but we're still kind of at the bottom of the Eastern Conference. But the reality is we have a chance to play meaningful games, and that's going to help a rookie like Montes Buzelis. Those things are meaningful. That really plays a major factor in player development, and it also puts these guys in situations that they haven't been in before. And I think when you talk about the focus of winning, you miss a big point of what's going to happen in the future. He went on to say at some point these guys are going to be put in a position of where now winning becomes important. You want to make a run, and if they don't want to play in these meaningful games, I think it hurts their development. End quote. Hey, a lot of Billy Donovan speaking like a coach that we like. I ain't gonna lie. Billy Donovan speaking like a quote that we like. I ain't gonna hold you. But the point is that I feel Billy Donovan 100%. Early in the season, there was a lot of pushback or a lot of expectations to where a lot of people felt that the Chicago Bulls should simply just be trying to tank. But I would say in that situation to start the season, you had to allow the Chicago Bulls to play at least a decent amount of basketball in a decent way to help rebuild the value up for Zach LaVine. And just off topic real quick, how does Zach LaVine look in Sacramento? And that's no shot to him. That's just us looking at the effect of, if you don't pay attention to how your roster is constructed, it can look a little weird regardless of how good the player is, because Zach LaVine is still a hell of a player. It's just that the Kings, they didn't really consider how Zach LaVine and DeMar DeRozan looked in Chicago Bulls uniforms with a center like Sabonis. But if you switch Sabonis with Nikola Vucevic, that's the Sacramento Bulls. But I understood it that you had to play solid basketball. And once Zach LaVine was traded from the Chicago Bulls, there were people pretty much saying, hey, now it's time to tank. Let's go get Cooper Flag. Let's go plant the flag. And I'm going to keep it real with you. I'm never a guy to sit out there and go out there and just try to lose games on purpose, because I think it's some sucker stuff. That's just me personally. I'm a competitor. I understand that, hey, organizations want to go out there and get the best available pick, but I think that player development is more important than said a first round pick. A number one overall pick. You can go and grab one of the best number one overall picks, but let's keep it real. A lot these past few years in these drafts, there hasn't been a lot of, guys that pop up and alter franchises at the number one overall pick. You know what I'm saying? You might have some guys that was able to come out there and, create some playoff runs or go to the playoffs and kind of change the dynamics or whatnot. But then those teams or that said player, because whatever reason it is, they still wasn't able to eclipse a championship. And I don't think it's necessarily one path to a championship. And I don't necessarily know if this path is going to get the Chicago Bulls closer to a championship. But I do know this, that the Chicago Bulls, to Billy Donovan's point, We are seeing a young team that is playing meaningful basketball, a young team that has been taking care of the basketball in the fourth quarter to close out some of these major games, a young team that's out there competing with the best of them. They were saying that the Chicago Bulls can only rise up to teams that suck. Hey, they've been rising up to teams who have championship aspirations. Los Angeles Lakers, the Denver Nuggets, yes, they were without Jokic, but that's not our problem. They played the damn game. They went down to the wire versus the Rockets, another team that's in the thick of things. And you gotta appreciate that if you, for the sake of the team and for the sake of basketball. And to Billy Donovan's point about Montes Buzelis, how meaningful are these games for his development? How meaningful is it for Josh Giddey if we expect him to be a part of the future, to play in these kind of games? What about Kobe White, who already, I wouldn't necessarily go out and say he's 100% battle tested, but he's played in some of these meaningful games to where he's been in, we going down the stretch with it. We trying to improve our position, and it ended up in a play-in with during his tenure with the Chicago Bulls. How meaningful is it for Kobe White now to be thriving in these situations now? That's the whole point. Like, and I get it. You know what I'm saying? We want the best for the Chicago Bulls. We want to go out there and have a chance to get Cooper Flag. We want to go out there and have a chance to get the player that we absolutely want to see come on to the Chicago Bulls. But the reality is, what's better for the sake of the team, in my opinion, is allowing these young guys to play in these meaningful games at a very high level, competing against some of those teams, understanding that you might not have a great start to a game. You might not have a great third quarter. But if you keep battling, you keep punching, and you keep doing the right things on the basketball court, you will eventually give yourself an opportunity to close out a game with a victory. And then we talk about the culture, right? We can go out there and we can scrutinize and criticize the front office, and rightfully so. But what about the players? We got to think about the players' perspective for a minute, especially with these young guys. You got guys that have chips on their shoulders on the Chicago Bulls team right now. And if you just simply say, go out there and play like shit, that's disrespectful to a Kobe White who has been put in multiple roles throughout his entire tenure with the Chicago Bulls. That's disrespectful to Josh Giddey, who really was just told you're going to be a bench player and then had to come to Chicago. And when he wanted to negotiate his contract, they said, we're not giving you 30 mil. That's disrespectful to a Montes Buzelis, who we believe has star potential. And if we just say, hey, just go out there and play for the sake of playing, but there's no actual meaning behind the development, then what's the point of trying to hype him up as a star? That's the whole point. I get it. You know what I'm saying? We want draft picks galore. But let me ask y'all this. I want to ask this question. Y'all let me know how y'all feel about it. I really want to ask the question. Do y'all feel that it's best to tank for the pick, or do you feel like it's better to win now for the sake of player development? Hold on, I even try to throw out another question for you guys. Do you think if the Bulls was tanking and purposely losing, that would have hurt Josh Giddey bag? That would have hurt Kobe White's value in his bag coming up? That would have hurt guys like Trey Jones and him trying to prolong his future? Kevin Huerter, who is trying to make a comeback, you know what I'm saying, after not doing so well in Sacramento these last few years? So just let me know. Just let me know. Because I absolutely believe that these young guys, they have something to play for. Whether you want to see a play-in game or if they make it to the first round and they get bounced out in 5, it feels a lot better than the saying we got 3 All-Stars and 2 potential Hall of Famers. We know DeMar DeRozan was there. I don't necessarily know if Nikola Vucevic going to be there, but basketball Hall of Fame is kind of weird, in my personal opinion, because they consider everything from the collegiate career, whatever. But this right here, you had 3 All-Stars on the team a few years ago. Right now, you don't have any All-Stars on the team other than Nikola Vucevic, but he's not playing that well. So the expectations are a little bit different. It's not the same as the team once was. You know what I mean? Because the team that once was like, man, we getting a fourth quarter king in DeMar DeRozan. We getting a hella athletic 2 guard who's probably one of the best in the league, and Zach LaVine. And we getting a really good big man when he was traded over here, Nikola Vucevic, that was an all-star. That's not those same type of titles and accolades that are hovering over our players right now. We got a guy that was supposed to be on the bench in Josh Giddey. We got a young guy who was in the conversation for most improved player last season in Kobe White, and that's it. We got a young rookie who was thought to be a top pick in this draft, and he fell to 11. I'm just saying. And then I got one more question. Just one more question. We might have to talk about it a little bit more at a later time because I want to see how C does feel about it. Should we really start reconsidering AK's draft picks and how they've looked? Just saying. You talking about Ayo Dosunmu. We love him. I don't necessarily think he's going to be an all-star, but he's a really good damn player. Dalen Terry. He had his struggles, but over the last few weeks, Dalen Terry is looking like he can be an actual player for this team. Now, I don't know how high that ceiling is going to be, but it's a lot better than what it looked like in year 1 and 2. Julian Phillips. Yeah, maybe kind of still stuck in the same spot, maybe just a little bit more better than when he originally came in, but definitely can give you something. Okay, fair. But I know there still could be some pushback, but I still want to know how you all are feeling about the draft picks, because I know we're going to bring up Marko Simonovic, dud. I know we're going to bring up Adama Sanogu, but think about the Montes Buzelis, Dalen Terry, Ayo Dosunmu, and Julian Phillips. Do we start to look at that a little bit different now that we're seeing the Chicago Bulls play at this level, or do we wait it out a little bit more just to see if these guys can take another step forward? And it got to be much credit to the player development staff of the Chicago Bulls if we're keeping it a buck. These guys are hooping. Dalen Terry looks like he's going to be a solid three-point shooter now. And he's taking care of the basketball. He has a tool bag. Yes, Dalen Terry has been hooping. You got to give credit when credit is due, for sure. Julian Phillips still can come in and be impactful in certain ways. Different type of style than Dalen Terry, but do you see the man get off the ground and try to get rebounds and get dirty? It's a difference. Josh Giddey, it's a difference. Bully ball, going downhill about 12 times a game, driving to the basket about 12 times a game has been very, very impactful for this Chicago Bulls team. That's development. We want to see that. You should want to see that. So the whole thing is that Billy Donovan, he's not wrong. Have these young guys playing these meaningful games, because let's keep it a buck. The Bulls got what? Like 7-8 games left? Y'all get the calculations correct. But they ain't got that many games left. How many teams around the league that's tanking is like, to hell with it? And they playing meaningless games. Meaningless games. So these guys are probably not playing with intentional basketball, with the intentions of trying to be efficient or good on offense, or not trying to show much effort on defense so they won't get injured and they can go on vacation injury-free. Think about that. Just think about that for a second. How many of these teams that are tanking around the league are just about to say to hell with the last 5 games of the season? I don't want to get hurt before I go to Cabo. I don't want to get hurt before I take my kids to Disneyland. I want to be able to swim with my babies. I want to be able to, and I'm not saying that the Chicago Bulls are about to go all out and act as if they're about to win a championship, but I think these guys have something to play for, and that's a playoff spot. Whether they get there or not, the ultimate win for me is player development. And no, I'm not going to go waving pom-poms and jumping off the table and trying to prepare a dinner for everybody, but I'm going to say Montes Buzelis, once he was inserted in the starting lineup, developed. Josh Giddey, he going to get that bag. Kobe White, if you can, figure it out. Pay that man. Those your 3 core you want to rock with moving forward. So go ahead and figure it out. And I would take those wins over guys just come out here wetting the bed or crapping the bed at the end of the season to say to hell with it. Y'all want to watch that shit? Not me. Give me some meaningful basketball games to chill and watch even with the end result being what the end result being, man. But hey, Billy Donovan explained it. I kind of back it up. Let me know how y'all feeling about it down below. Make sure you let me know your thoughts, your comments, and all your concerns down there in the comment box below. Hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and hit that notification bell as well. That is it for me, y'all. I appreciate y'all for tuning in. Make sure you always see red, and y'all already know I'm going to catch y'all on the next one for sure.
Cognac. Gang.